like it or not, it keeps showing up, right? I mean, how many of us have problems that just keep showing up? We don't like that they keep showing up, but they keep showing up again and again and again. There's never enough money at the end of, there's never enough money by the end of the month. There's never enough respect. There's never enough whatever it is. Now, all of this information gets filtered back into our mind because energy always returns to a source of origination. Energy always returns to its source of origination. So when it comes back into the mind, it comes into our senses, our sight, taste, touch, smell, sound. That's where the information comes back into. But the senses are wired through our subconscious. For every single sense that we have, sight, taste, touch, smell, sound, even our vibrational sense, the very first place they synapse is in our thalamus, in the deep part of our brain. So whether it's coming through our eyes, whether it's coming through our ears, wherever it's coming through, it synapses in the deepest part of our brain, which is called our thalamus. Now the thalamus and our limbic system and our hippocampus are kind of like the control center for our subconscious mind. I'm not saying they are our subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind is our whole body, remember? And actually, most of the universal mind, by the way, also is subconscious, if you think about it that way, because if we're not aware of it, it means it's subconscious. Anything that we're not aware of is subconscious. As soon as we're aware of it, it's conscious. But all the information that comes into our being here, if we want to think about it that way, all gets wired through our subconscious mind first into our thalamus. Now, our thalamus is the part of our brain where our brain waves are generated from. Remember we talked about alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, delta waves? They're all generated from our thalamus rather. Our thalamus is the hub of the brain waves. And these brain waves, they are information, just like a radio. They're pumping out radio, like waves, just like radio waves. Like if you tuned your radio station to 103.5, a country music station, the reason you're decoding it on your radio is because that radio station has been encoded somewhere in country music land at 103.5 pulses per second. So that's a wave. Radio waves are like brain waves. So our brain waves also have vibrational frequencies associated with them. And just like a radio wave carries information, our brain waves carry information. So somewhere off, if you listen to NPR, somewhere off in the NPR station, there's a person talking, that's information. They put it on a radio wave, it's carried out, you decode it, then you get the information. And we all know that information affects our behavior. So from our thalamus, it's literally pumping out brain waves every 1/10 of a second. Every 1/10 of a second, a brain wave is emitted from the thalamus. And those brain waves, they don't travel through the air like radio waves do. They travel through our connective tissue. Because our connective tissue is energetically charged and it's programmed to perform certain functions because it's crystalline. So these brain waves are transmitted through our connective tissue. And they're being propagated out constantly. So now, any information that comes in from the outside, and that's what this red arrow is about, coming up the spinal cord, coming in from the outside. And this is whether it comes from the eyes or from the ears or wherever. It has to go through these brain waves before it even gets to the thalamus. And then from here, then it goes up into our cortex. And this is where we think, right? This is where we make decisions. This is where we rationalize up here in our higher levels of our cortex. So what we want to point out is by the time any information comes into our system, by the time it gets to our cortex, it's already been filtered through our subconscious. It's already been filtered through our subconscious. So we like to say that our subconscious mind tells our conscious mind how to think about things. And there's a slide on this later, but I'll just say it again. Our subconscious mind tells our conscious mind how, H-O-W, how to think about things. It doesn't tell our conscious mind what to think about. It tells our conscious mind how to think about what we're thinking about. Our subconscious mind tells our conscious mind how to think about what we're experiencing, in other words. And so it picks up that how by the signal or information having to go through these brain waves before it ends up on our cortex. Ani, any questions that people have popped in that would be helpful?
No, I don't think so. Julie just popped in a great awareness, which is why thinking positive doesn't quite get you there.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep. Because the thinking positive comes from the cortex. But by then, it's already been, right? Whatever we're trying to think positive about has already been a slave to that, a slave to the brainwaves that are coming from the thalamus. So this is really where resistance is created first. Resistance is created by the inertia that's set up in our deep brainwaves. Okay, cool. So so when we start to understand this, gang, we have to understand this, is that this information that's coming up into our brain, our subconscious mind is going to do something with that information. And if it doesn't recognize it, it's going to try to file it. It's going to try to sort it into something that's known already. So our brain will take information and then it'll sort it into areas, into things that it has already categorized. I mean, think about it like this. If you have a file cabinet at home, you have a file cabinet, and in the file cabinet, you have files for bills and for kids stuff and for travel or whatever. You know, that whenever you get something in the mail and you put it in that file cabinet, you know, you put it someplace. So obviously you get a bill, you put it in the bill file. You get a kids thing, you put it in the kids file. But if you get something that it doesn't really belong in any of those files, you'll either do one or two things with it. You'll throw it away, or you'll just jam it in another file that's maybe close. You probably won't go create a whole new file folder just for that one thing. Well, your brain does the same basic thing. Your brain is going to organize and sort things based on its past experience. And